Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Glory Road. This is the 2006 film. It runs an hour and 59 minutes, just shy of 2 hours, but probably it's only that long because of all the after credits stuff. But um, this is one of those very popular, almost into a genre in itself. These inspirational sports films. This one, of course, is based on a true story. This takes place during 1966, the NCAA championship, and I know nothing. I shouldn't say nothing, but I know very little about basketball. I'm not a basketball fan, whatever, but I know enough to know how things work. However, in 1966, uh, it was a white man's game, apparently. So, at least in college basketball and certainly in professional, uh, especially in the South. I realize that this takes place in Texas, West Texas, El Paso, which is about as West Texas as you can get. Uh, I've been there. So I stayed a night there. Yeah, it's about as west as you can get. Now, southern, the word southern doesn't mean the same thing as Texas as the rest of southern U.S., but still, there's a fair amount of segregation and racism still happening in 1966, even within college basketball. You didn't start a black player, uh, much less let them play any part of the game, usually against white players. If there was even an inkling of having more than one black player somehow on the team, it was a rare thing. Anyway, this coach, his name's Don Haskins. Many of you basketball fans would know who he is. He is in part of the Basketball Hall of Fame. He was once just teaching girls basketball at a high school, and he gets called up to be a coach at the El Paso, West Texas University, and it's a whole new world for him and his wife and his three kids having to move into this area, and he's got only a few weeks to round up a bunch of new players to really flesh out the team. He sees what they have currently; they aren't great, and when he starts noticing as he's out scouting with his assistants, I notice that there's a number of black players being left on the bench, and when they do get a chance to, hit the boards, guess what? They're actually good. Some of them are good, and so he decides, you know what? Let's start recruiting these guys and see what happens. One or two, or many, and that fundamentally changes things, not just in basketball, but in the community where they are, and the teams that they play as they go throughout their season. Let's just say they're not really warmly welcomed, especially in East Texas, or even in if you go further into the South, even up north in Seattle. It's not a nice place. Not a nice. It's not a nice place to be a basketball player in 1966. I know you say, "Hey, that was 54 years ago. That's a long time ago. Things have changed." Black players dominate the sport. Yes, absolutely, they do. They they absolutely do. But it's amazing that it was only 54 years ago that that it wasn't anything like this. That racism actually prevented people from playing in a sport that they were skilled at, that they excelled at. It's a very touchy situation to talk about. I should be the last person to be talking about racial attitudes and how people were treated in the 60s, because I wasn't there. But still, this movie gives both an inspirational look at basketball, at how a team comes together, both black and white together, and overcomes so many obstacles in so many ways, not just racism. No, they didn't defeat racism. By the way, there was no racism basketball team. They fought it at every turn, and I'm sure they fought it well after the end of this movie. But along the way, you get to see how they struggle against just trying to use a bathroom or trying to get dinner on the road from one city to the next while they play. Yeah, it's disheartening. The thing is that what makes it more than just a basketball film, which yes, you're gonna watch this because it's a inspirational story and you love basketball and it's cool, but it also, yes, it's a 2 hour movie, which doesn't really give a lot of space to flesh out the characters that you know here that you see here. Yet, if honestly, I would have preferred. I mean, I would have preferred to see this as a TV series. If they would ever want to dig deep into the people that we're seeing here and their experiences, everybody sort of gets a little, you know, their little highlight here and there. One guy is a womanizer. One guy has health problems. One guy is not playing strong enough, and so he gets the coach kicks him off the team, and he's like, "No, I can't go back." So there's everybody gets a different little moment to shine, but it comes and goes pretty quick. So yeah, there's lots of ups and downs with each of these characters, and you get to see them not only struggle against other teams that are pretty much all white, but and to cities which inhabit those teams, or teams inhabit those cities. You get to see them struggle within themselves, not just with the white players, but with each other. The black players tend to be merciless with each other. They joke with each other, but they're also not very friendly to each other at the start, at least. But you get to see how all these guys work together to make a coherent team, and it's neat to see. But it's not all white people bad, black people good. So you see it's not just a, sorry for the expression, black and white thing. But if it doesn't turn your stomach at a number of situations to see that these guys have to live in fear for their lives just to play basketball, and that the coach and his wife play. By the way, Don Haskins was played by Josh Lucas. Yeah, Josh Lucas, and Emily Deschanel plays his wife, who you know her from Bones. Her role is pretty much to hold babies and just look at her husband from a distance reassuringly. That's it. That's pretty much it. I think she might have 5 lines in the entire film. So if you're a big Emily Deschanel fan and you're hoping to see more of her, this is not the movie for you. You get to see her standing, holding a baby, looking sad because she's getting death threats. Her and her husband are getting death threats by people who would see them dead for dealing with these black men, which, yeah, it seems like it's a foreign alien world, but unfortunately today it still is our world. We've seen that a lot, at least recently, and not in basketball, but in just about everywhere else. Politics. Anyway, yeah, this is definitely well edited and thrilling, exciting sports movie. Goes back and forth, of course. Basketball, for me, that's why basketball doesn't really excite me that much. It's like I would love to see a live game. You know, I've seen it when I was in high school and stuff like that, but never like professional ball. I've never been to a Lakers game. I live in LA, even though, you know, hey, they're the champions this year. But from what I heard, uh, it's just they get a basket, now they get a basket, now they get a basket. Somebody fouls, they get a basket, and it's just back and forth to me. It doesn't really seem. Yes, there is strategy involved, but I just don't see it. I'm not of that mind to understand it. It's my shortcoming. But yeah, it's the movie itself makes basketball exciting, and it's thrilling as they all battle for dominance, and it's razor edged wins and losses and things like that. It's a pretty crazy trip they take to get to it's if it wasn't a monumental thing, well, let's just say they wouldn't have made a movie about it. It is embodiment of the biggest NCAA upset in history, and it changed a lot, changed everything for sports, especially when it came to race. So it's something I think if you have a family who loves basketball, and bring the kids in and watch this. Yes, there is harsh racial terms. The N word is used a number of times, and it's usually not done by rappers. Okay, let's just say that it's done by white people who see these people as less than human, and it's scrawled upon walls of hotel rooms in blood. Yes, people are awful. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. People, the racist, are awful. If you're one of those people and you're watching this, screw you. So, anyway, uh, I highly recommend this if you love basketball and you want to give some perspective on the history of the sport, and you want to share it with your kids and be able to. This is the kind of thing you want to talk about with your kids after you see it too. Understand uh, what this is all about, and it gets you to possibly talk about racism, not just basketball. So I think this is it's a good, healthy option. Maybe it's not the greatest movie in the world. It's yes, because it's 2 hours, it has to be watered down into a way that hits all the strong beats. The coach is hard ass, and he's pretty much driving these guys. He's fairly verbally abusive at times, and he's also probably softened up to a certain point in order to be Disney palatable. And also, by the way, being that I told you how there's like the N-word scrawled in blood inside hotel rooms as a threat to the players. I imagine that it might seem kind of harsh, especially for something on Disney Plus. But let's just say, more than likely, when this movie was made in 2006, and this is is it a Disney film or is it like a Touchstone film? Whatever it was, it's still a Disney film, and I imagine it was softened compared to how it really was back then in 1966. So, for film, to be able to be on film. So yeah, it's something that it's should be discussed, and this is a great way to launch that discussion, I think, with your kids if you get a chance. Stick around during the credits if you want to see. Everybody, by the way, gets a little what happened after the championship biography kind of thing. You find out what happened to each of these guys, each of the major players. And during the credits, you actually can see interviews with some of the real people who were there, including Don Haskins and a number of the players and people who were living in that era, notable basketball icons, discussing what that meant in that time. So I think it's worth checking out. I said that a lot of times already, but I'm going to say it. That's the last time I'm going to say it. Maybe. But yeah, give it a chance. John Voight's in this, by the way, also. Let's see. Derek Luke. Let's see. Oh, Alfonso Macaulay. I like him. Mikad Brooks. Shin A.S. Kerr. Sam Jones III. Demaine Radcliffe. Al Shearer. Red West plays one of the coaches. So yeah, there's a ton of guys. If you recognize those names, a lot of recognizable faces in this. I just didn't know their names, but yeah, it's worth checking out for those guys. Did I say it again? I said it again. All right, let's pick tomorrow's episode.
24.
Going low. Okay. Well, this is kind of general in its naming. We got another documentary or series. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a single movie. I'm not sure. But the name is so vague. It's America's Greatest Animals. Not like America's Greatest Dogs or Animals Greatest Birds or whatever. It's America's Greatest Animals. Okay. So if it's a series, we'll just watch one or two at most, depending on how long it is. We'll get the idea, I'm pretty sure, because it's America's Greatest Animals. So, beyond that, we'll see you back here tomorrow with America's Greatest Animals on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. See you then. Bye.